build the revs, and launch. Download the official WapCar app now on Google Play Store. Hello everybody, it's Adrian for WapCar.my and I'm all about the details. By now you've probably watched countless videos on the Proton X50 and you probably know everything there is to know about Proton's latest SUV. However, in today's video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a deep dive of this 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine to find out its real-world performance and refinement. To do that, I'm going to do a 0 to 100 test, engine vibration test, as well as engine noise test of this 1.5 litre TGDI of this X50 Flagship. First up, some numbers. The X50 is available with two powertrain options. Both are 1.5 litre in capacity, has 3 cylinders and a turbocharged. The only difference between the two engines are the different types of fueling system, multi-point injection and direct injection, which results in different power outputs. The 1.5T MPI makes 150 horsepower and 226 Nm of torque, while the 1.5 TGDI makes 177 horsepower and 255 Nm of torque. Both are paired exclusively to a 7-speed wet dual-clutch transmission, the same transmission found in the Proton X50 CKD, however with a different tuning. The X50 7DCT is said to have a sportier shift pattern to suit the engine's character a little bit better. This exact combo, the 1.5T and 7DCT, won Geely the highest honours at the Automotive Industry Science and Technologies Award, which is a big deal because it's kind of like the Nobel Prize equivalent of the automotive industry in China. Now, the internet went insane when Proton hosted the pre-launch test drive on Sepang International Circuit, where they pitched this X50 against the Honda HR-V and BMW X1 in a drag race. Now, the results were quite surprising because the X50 consistently did between 10 to 11 seconds in the 0 to 100 sprint time, a far cry from the manufacturer's claim of 7.9 seconds. So what gives? Well, I was there present at the event, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to clear the air a little bit. First up, we did not use a proper launch technique. All we did was just mash the throttle at green light and go. So without a proper launch technique, you lose some precious seconds off the line. Secondly is the ambient temperature. Sepang that day was blazing hot, and at one point it was registering between 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, but it sure felt like 50 degrees outside. So turbo engines don't perform well under hot ambient temperatures because of heat soak, where it results in a slight loss of power. So of course, the X50 will not be able to reproduce that 7.9 seconds under these unfavorable conditions. Now, manufacturer claims are always under the best case scenarios where the stars and moon align perfectly. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen quite often in the real world. Today is one of those days where the stars and moon are kind of aligned because we have nice cooling weather, the car is set up perfectly, tires are warm, I have my professional timing gear, and I'm going to do a proper launch technique to see how fast the X50 does in 0 to 100 in the real world. Alright, before we get going, first thing we need to set up the car, put it into sports mode, turn off traction control. There we go. Go into drive, left foot on the brake, build the revs, and launch. $60, $70, $80, $90, $100. 0 to 100, 8.6 seconds. Wow, that was first run. That was our first run of the day, and I'm gonna do 2 more rounds and see what's the best time we can find for today. After 3 rounds, the results are out. The best time for today is 8.6 seconds, which although not quite the 7.9 seconds I was looking for, but it's close enough. The 0.7 seconds difference is about 9% off, and I think it's perfectly acceptable. Besides, dipping under 10 seconds is already a very big deal for what essentially is a family SUV. Now, there's a lot of concerns surrounding the vibration and refinement of 3-cylinder engines, but you have to remember, this is not the same type of 3-cylinder engines that you find in your 1990s Kanchil. Technology has progressed immensely and the world is now talking about all-electric hypercars, autonomous driving, and soon flying cars even. So you think the engineers still don't know how to make a 3-cylinder refinement? Now, of course, there's bound to be some form of vibrations during startup. Even the world's best 4-cylinder engine does that too. But once it settles, and you rev it, okay ma. What's more important is inside the cabin, whether any of the vibrations gets translated inside. The dashboard, steering wheel, seats, and even the floor. I'm going to demonstrate. I have a water bottle in front of me. There's a bit of judder during startup, but once it settles and you turn on the aircon, even if you rev it, it doesn't even flinch. And I think that's the most important part because, come on guys, while you're driving, you're not going to be hands on the engine bay, right? You're not going to be touching the engine bay. You're going to be bum on the seats, hands on the steering wheel always, and you feel none of the vibration. Now, noise is a very subjective matter because every individual have varying threshold of what's quiet and what's noisy. But us at WapCar, we're going to be very objective about it. So we have a professional dB meter to measure the cabin noise at idle. And it averages about 42, 43, and that's super quiet. Let's try revving the car. 53 decibels max. In conclusion, the Proton X50's award-winning 1.5 TGDI engine offers class-leading performance and, as we've tested, is pretty quiet and refined as well. To the naysayers of 3-cylinder engines, you guys really do have to get on with the times because in the future there'll be more and more of these type of small capacity 3-cylinder engines due to tightening emission standards. 3-cylinder engines are used in BMWs, Volvos, even Hondas and Nissans are also using 3-cylinder engines. So what's wrong with the X50 using a 3-cylinder engine as well? Especially one with this solid performance and refinement. Download the official WapCar app on Google Play Store now for all your latest news, reviews, and comparisons to help you find your next perfect car. See you there!